Hi folks, Dave Woodard, the man from back east. Hopefully you've watched my Layers 1 prelude for this video. It's about an hour long, but it has an excellent description about what Forrest Fenn did here. The story behind his regular stories. There's a story hidden inside of his actual stories, which is really cool. So that's what I'm trying to get across here. Hopefully you get a chance to watch these videos. I was trying to think of how to do this, and I'm not going through the map again. I don't need to. I have videos that actually give you the full map to get to Palisade Sill, where the cross was. The magic in this whole thing was the cross with Kent and Esther. And someone said to me the other day, Kent and Esther are not in the poem. You cannot get to the cross without knowing or finding Kent and Esther inside the poem. That is actually a little bit true, but also not true. My treasures bold are the Kent and Esther. And that is explained in my Layers video that's coming out next, which will be part 3. But this part 2, if you've watched my videos, you know what the actual map is. And if you don't, these videos that I put at the front of this video, watch them first and understand what the map is and how it actually brings you. There's a map here. From poem to treasure, 25 minutes, less than a half an hour. It explains the full poem to the treasure. It explains how you get to Kent and Esther, okay? So I don't need to do it here. I'm not going to waste our time telling you what the map is again. So I'm going to concentrate on the Kent and Esther and all of the layers, okay? The layers that brought you there. Clue number 1 in the poem is the first stanza. That first stanza is Palisade Sill. Palisade Sill, that right there. Number 1, that's the first thing I'm going into on my Layers video, so you understand how many Palisades Forrest Fenn brought in to understand that is your search area. That's why I'm going by memory. I should have marked them all down, but I'm not going back in the other videos. There's about 16 or 15, 13 Palisades that are in the actual book. I've found a couple others since then. The actual Marvel Gaze is your Palisade Sill as you're coming back to where you started from the cease. That word with T.S. Eliot, you end up back where you started. Forrest Fenn created an experience here. And when you dive into it, you have to understand Forrest speak. And I've tried to explain that in the last video. So if you don't understand Forrest speak, how he interprets the actual Palisade is windows for his clues in the book. And I've explained that in my other videos. A memoir is a window into a life. A window sill is Palisade Sill. And I explain a little bit of that. I show you in the Layers video how he uses windows. Because that's a whole other level, a whole other layer of how you pick up windows and where you use them. And how it incorporates the post office, the postmarks. There is, I think, 34 postmarks in the first book. There's 2 in the second book. And then he goes into my 2 cents, which is the double meanings. Because nobody was getting it in the first and second book. He had to really give it to you in the third book on what they are. And that's why he did the Palisade, Fishing in the Palisade. He did the front cover, Fishing in Pleiades. And that's all in the Layers video. Once I go through all the Palisades, which is the first clue in the poem, the first 4 lines, that is a Palisade where he had the treasure. What he brought in was his treasures, bold, which are his comic books. Okay, folks? That's explained. That's explained in the Layers. Also, after your map, you start at Palisade Sill. He explains where his special area is. Then he says, begin it. It is a map that's also explained in my layers video that I just did. It is the map. Begin it. That's the second clue. That starts at Agua Fria Peak, goes over to home of Brown, which is Eagle's Nest, and then it goes down to from there. The word there, that's Forrest speak. That word there, and I show you in the layers how many times he uses it and why he uses it, and how it crisscrosses into other stories. Between the bullet is another layer that I went through on the video. But it takes you back, you cycle back from Agua Fria Peak, and understand the map does not start. When he says there's a map in the poem, it's not every single stanza, every single line, or just 9 lines. It's an actual physical map he's giving you in the poem that you start at Agua Fria Peak, you go over to home of Brown, Eagle's Nest, you come down to Palisade Sill, and then from there, that's Palisade Sill. The end is ever drawing nigh, there'll be no paddle up your creek. There's just heavy loads of water high. That's all explained in my last video. The layers. 1, prelude. So I don't need to go over that. If you understand Forrest speak on how he did this, you understand that Palisade Sill is your search area. That's why Forrest said you can solve this within the first couple of clues. You can actually, I solved it from the first clue. That as I've gone alone in there. I knew it was Palisade Sill. That's how I solved this whole poem. That's how I solved this whole treasure hunt. And it took, from when I solved it, it took another 4 years almost. But when I very first started, 4 hours in, I knew that Cimarron Canyon was my search area. And Palisade Sill is the main level, or the main layer, that I go over first in the video. And then I go on to mixed up words. And there's still so many other areas that had mixed up words that I did not add. I tried to consolidate some of the important ones. Okay, so mixed up words, that was another layer. Upwards. Okay, that's your second layer that I did in the video. And that's Pleiades, Palisade. It's him talking about how he leaves out commas, how the person who helped him proofread the book, she's a heroine for putting up with Forrest's wanting to leave things the way they were. So that right there, the second level is mixed up words, okay? And then the third level, I go on to the superheroes. I go right into the superheroes because I left it at 58. And some of the superheroes, there's 3 of them in one clue. But there's 58 that I came up with. And I'm sure there's many more. Folks, Forrest spent 15 years on this poem and these books on how, and if you think it's as easy as a 9-mile hole picture in the book and Madison River, that he shows Madison River, it's not. What you hear and what you've heard from wherever is false. The actual true solve took him 15 years to build. And what he did was he incorporated all of these clues inside of his stories. So, I did the mix-up words. Then I did the superheroes. The superheroes, that's another layer. Super heroes. All right, that's your third layer. 58 of them. And like I said, there's some of them that have multiple in them. Mighty Mouse and Cactus Man, between the bullseye. He was a genius on how he did this. And that's why I said, when you finally understand and see what he built here, he was a genius. And this is an experience. And that's why he talks, the funny books, experiences with Joe. Clark Joseph Kent. He uses Joe in a bunch of his different stories to explain. And that's a whole different level. The Clark Kent, once you find that cross, again, like I said, it's not in the poem. You're not going to find it in the poem. But the map in the poem leads you directly to that cross at Palisade Sill. And once you understand that, that's why I wasn't sure of myself. I didn't know who Kent and Esther were. So for me to dig up a cross that Forrest Fenn put there for us to find, I understood that it was the canasta. If you can't figure out the first clue, and that's what brought me to that. It brought me directly to Palisade Sill. Knowing that the word there, as I have gone alone in there with my treasures bold, which is the funny books, the comic books, the Superman #1 that's worth $2.75 million right now. That's his treasures bold, and the bold S on it. But anyways, I can keep my secret where? The two people keeping his secret, that's where he's keeping his secret. I can keep my secret where? Where and there are the same thing. Like, if you look up where, it's there. So, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches, new and old. Those riches were nature. The first half of the canyon is all younger rock, quartzite, stuff like that. The second half of the canyon at Palisade Sill. Palisade Sill is made of intrusive igneous rock. That is the oldest rock in the canyon. So you go from riches new to old. That's your hint right there. He's pinpointing Palisade Sill when you see it on a map. So that's why I knew Palisade Sill was the actual search area, folks. Palisade Sill is the magic in the map. If you can't figure out the first clue, stay home and play canasta. So me driving to Cimarron Canyon, going to Palisade Sill, I pulled up in the overflow parking lot. If you look at the Pleiades story about Suzanne Summers and the parties, he talks about a secluded parking lot on one page. You go to the next, and it says near a row of Palo Verde trees. Okay? 300 feet from the house. Palisade Sill is 300 feet, folks. He said Palisade with Palo Verde trees, a row, that's what a Palisade is, 300 feet from the house. That's his second home in the wilderness. And I go over that in the layers video. Folks, this is an experience. When you finally start to see, it's like a oh my God moment, and you understand that Forrest speak, he uses these different words to build the backstory of him going in there as a kid with his comic books. And nobody figured it out in the first and second book, so he finally brought in the stories about experiences with Joe, with the comic books, the funny books. So it's incredible the way the story goes. But that's what my layers video is going to show you. How many superheroes that Forrest Fenn incorporated in his books, hidden, like Golden Arrow. And I've showed those in my other videos. If you look at these videos, folks, you will see so many clues that Forrest Fenn created to build this backstory of superheroes. And then Aunt Esther. Look at my Aunt Esther Solve. Look at my court documents. Those have incredible stories. Ben Underwood, I think, is amazing that Forrest Fenn dedicated to that. And then Salute to a Warrior. There's so many heroes that he brought in. Regular human people, not fake superheroes in the movies. He brought in all of them. He gave dedications to the real true life heroes also. So it wasn't just superheroes. He was dedicating army people. But mingling with the stars, that's what the canopy, the treasure was found under a canopy of stars. Okay? If you look at all of the different names throughout the books, there are hundreds and hundreds of different names. But if you read the stories again, if you go back and read the books, and you understand that Forrest Fenn had hidden messages in there about Shakespeare. What Shakespeare was saying, all the world's a stage, and each of us must play a part. He talks about Elvis Presley being George Hamilton's roommate, I guess, at one point. So, if you look up Elvis Presley's song, you know, someone told me that the world's a stage, and each of us must play a part. Forrest had 15 years, okay, 15 years of this. He had so many different clues, and I could pull them together. Nobody else in the Fenn community wanted to back me, wanted to listen. I've asked them, no avail. Nobody. Not a freaking soul. So you know what? I'm on my own. This is my baby. And this is the actual true solve that Forrest Fenn took 15 years to create, folks. This is it right here. And when this next layer video comes out, it's going to show you how many different things Forrest Fenn pulled in the backstory to give you the clues to know that it dealt with superheroes or regular heroes, which is Clark Kent on the cross. I knew it was Clark Kent, and the Maverick video points that out and actually validates it with true facts about Amelia Earhart. Perfect example. He says, I'll use her as an example. And he said she's also an impulsive maverick. So the original Maverick, his wife's name is Lois Clark. And the story Looking for Lewis and Clark is actually Looking for Lois and Clark. He switches up the words just enough, but you can still get the connection, that beauty of saying, hey, you know what, if you switch this a little bit, and that's why he said so many times. He said, Albert Einstein said it. Imagination is more important than knowledge. If you think you're going to get it with foot-pounds and a certain angle and certain things like that. This was so simple. That actual map in the poem, like I said, I figured out Palisade Hill. I drove into that parking lot and I parked right in front of that sign. I was 12 to 15 feet away from the treasure final resting place. And my war for me, he is so adamant on how important that cross was and how he was going to incorporate it and how he thought about it more and more and more. And when he was in that airplane, My War for Me is a great story just to read on its own about the different ways that Forrest Fenn brings in that Shakespeare and certain people. And he has the poem about Superman, Courage Wears a Crimson Coat. That is beautiful. Folks, whatever you see for comments on my channel, it's usually a scab that is discrediting the people who make good comments on my channel. And now it's changed from hello and all the other jackasses that were commenting. They just come out. I could see it. It's like the name was just created 2 hours ago, and they're making comments, crap comments, like William Kidd right now. And there's another jerk that's on it that just joined. All it is these scabs that are trying to shut down the actual truth from coming out. So don't pay any attention. I just delete them now because I don't care. They don't matter. It does not matter. And Carl, this is a message that goes out to Carl. I don't need to talk to whoever anymore, okay? And Carl knows who he is. When that layers video comes out, it's going to be over because there's so many actual proven facts and connections that there's no disputing that this is the actual true solve. So whatever you're going to come up with for a statement, I'm sure right now you're already thinking, he's already come up with enough that people might start figuring it out, that this guy solved it. But for some reason, we have Jack up there. So you may end up coming out with a comment, Forrest Fenn decided to take the treasure chest. That's what you're going to come out with, right? Because that's the only way that you can kind of save your ass. But just think about this for a minute. There's one person that can dispute that. And probably this is a 50-50 chance here. That guy that can prove that Forrest Fenn was railroaded into saying that it was in Wyoming, right? There's going to be somebody, whoever the real true solver is, that's the guy that's going to be able to stop that false statement if it's said. Now, think about that. Now, there's a way right now that could go, hey, you know what? Forrest Fenn said that he wanted to get the treasure chest, and you guys came up with this elaborate thing, But the real solver is out there. So we want to take care of that guy. And the rest of the story goes under the rug, right? That could be a possibility. But if you still want to challenge the solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, and you're going to push and push, everything that happened is going to come out, and it's going to be proven. So just think about that for a minute. If there is some semblance of any brains in the heads of the people behind whatever happened here, whatever it is, I'm not going to accuse right now, because I know the only route you're going to have is that Forrest Fenn decided to do that. But if somebody can prove that wrong, or somebody can say, okay, I agree with maybe it was Forrest Fenn, that guy is the guy that you need to actually sit down and talk to and not harass on his channel, okay? I'm just letting you know, Carl, because you're the one that's going to be put on right up in front making these statements. Or maybe the big guy will come up and talk. I don't know. Whatever's going to happen there, just to let you know, you better make a smart decision. And it better be a good decision and righteous decision on what you're going to do, what you're going to say, if you want an ally or if you want an enemy. Because I'm telling you right now, Carl, if you want an enemy, you are going to have one. You already have one, but he's extending that last little bit of olive branch to say, smarten the hell up. All right? Anyways, folks, to the real people out there, not the harassers that I have, or some of these vloggers are looking for $50,000 from me. So I'm just letting everybody know that when this actual layers video comes out and shows you all of these connections inside of Forrest Fenn's books, there's one person that solved it, as I've said right along. When you start hearing these other vloggers talk about who's going to court, oh, she's picking on me, Barbara said this, Jay Street said this, blah, 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 blah. Are you tired of it? Because I know I am. I am so tired of these stupid, childish games from channel to channel. I've asked for people to join and be friends. They don't want it, folks. These other vloggers do not want to get involved with the actual True Solve to shut down their money-making machine of 5 cents a watch or whatever they get. I don't know I didn't even know. Or whatever book they're writing. They don't want to lose that chance of their 15 minutes of fame. Well, their 15 minutes of fame could have been in a movie with me about this, about actually putting the True Solve out and helping and being a real honorable person trying to protect Forrest Fenn's legacy. So let's see what happens after the layers video comes out. But that video is going to change the face of this chase community, because nobody still brings up my name. They do not want to any fame taken away from them. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is inevitable. With the layers video that comes out, I'm at an hour and I've only done 3 layers of different things. And then I started wandering off because there's so many cool things that are just here and there that if you see the Forrest speak, you understand it. So understand, Palisade still is the word there. When you watch these videos, you have to, my 2 cents, you have to have that double meaning and know how it fits in. And I'm the only guy that did it. I'm the only guy right now that understands it fully. And I'm trying to explain it in an organized way. That's why I did the layers, so everyone would understand exactly what Forrest Fenn built here in 15 years. And there is, I'm sure with all of the actual superheroes that I found, there's still many more. All of the different airplanes in the pictures that I showed, Hercules was one of them. There was Saber. I'm sure there's some Saber. There's so many superheroes that he brought in over the course of 15 years. And then the innuendos with Aunt Esther and Bubba Bexley for Sanford and Son. It was genius. It was creative. It was beautiful. But it's an experience that you have to actually undergo. When you start seeing some of the connections and say, wow, this is cool. It is actually really, really cool. So when I said that in my last video, that someone said the solve is worth $1 million, I thought 500,000. Okay? I think this is priceless. What he built here and how he incorporated in these 3 books. These 3 books, all the people out there that are into superheroes or have comic books, you are going to love this. You're going to look into stories and you're going to find something that connects a superhero that I didn't find yet. I actually added Razor. I know I said it in my last video, but I put it in there. What the heck, right? I found it. Every time I look, I find something new. If you know what you're looking for. So Palisade sill is the word there. And also in the books, it's windows for Palisade sill. I put my pillow on the sill. Open the window at the Caddy Railroad and listen. Put my pillow on the sill. That's your connection to window and sill. So every time he says windows in it, it's beautiful. And there are interconnecting, like he'll be talking about looking out the window, waiting for the postman. There's Devil's Mailbox at Palisade sill. And the picture I show is from the south side. So whenever he talks about, I scrape dirt on the south side of the highway, or the south side of the porch, he's talking about scraping dirt, and his 2 old friends were uncovered. Kent and Esther. It's Aunt Esther, the homely girl on the cross from Vietnam that was so important to him, folks. These vloggers that do not want to accept that Kent and Esther is Clark Kent and Aunt Esther. Aunt Esther, the homely girl on the cross that was so, so important to him. It's beautifully constructed, and it's amazing. I solved it understanding that if you can't figure out the first clue, which pinpoints Palisade sill, I drove in and parked in front of the cross, and I was sitting there. After 4 years, I sat in front of that cross thinking, I'm beaten. He beat me. I don't know what to do next. I found the blaze up there, but the look quickly down, there were 3 different look quickly downs. Look down the canyon, look down into the trench, the chase that leads up to the fire pit, which is the end of his rainbow, and then the steep hill in the front. I didn't think it was a steep hill because that's the most dangerous point, but it was. That's what it was. That's what took me 2 years. I sat in the parking lot and thought, I'm done, and I looked at the cross, and the Ken Esther came into my head, and that's how this was solved. I let Forrest Fenn know. Forrest Fenn let someone else know. Or possibly Forrest Fenn retrieved the treasure chest. We're going to see if it goes that route, folks. Because if it goes that route, and they don't want to discuss this, things are going to happen that may get really ugly even more, because I got screwed over. Bottom line, I am the solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. And my layers video will show you hundreds of clues and hints that show you the backstory to what Forrest Fenn built here. So those layers, the superheroes, you have Aunt Esther. There's another layer I'm in the process of working on right now. Aunt Esther. And then there's also so many other layers. The postmarks. That's postmarks. I'm just going to use the same. And I've already finished the postmarks in the stories. That's how I know. There's 34 of them in the first book. There's 2. And 1 is about the Dude Ranch, where Forrest Fenn says, and this is beautiful. This is how you know it's a backstory that fits all of these clues. Forrest Fenn said, we had my buddy Donnie Joe, right? Clark Joseph Kent, my buddy Joe, join in with us to buy the Dude Ranch because his grandmother was the postmaster Why that was important, I don't know. That's what Forrest said. He did, like, the postmaster, if you look at the key for the Dude Ranch, it says drop in any mailbox. Bingo. There's your mailbox. And then it shows Ronald Reagan climbing through a window. They were famous. The window, it's so beautifully interconnected. And that's one of the point. If you can't, I've asked the other vloggers to just open their mind to see it. And they don't want to. They don't care. They just want their own fame. That's fine. I don't care. I've told them right along. I'm asking you to join me. I'm asking you to look at this. They don't want it, folks. I know the real people out there. The other searchers who spent money to go out in the wilderness and look for this treasure. This is the actual true solve and how it worked out. And it's amazing. It is creative. It is brilliant. It is genius. And it is being laid out for you because of the situation that happened. If they had just shut their mouth and nothing was ever said, this never would have went anywhere. But when you try to lie, that is what bothers me. It was not found in Wyoming. There is no solve in Wyoming. It was never in Wyoming unless he bought the treasure chest up there. But folks, you've been fed something that is false. Something that has been lied in court documents. If this could either end peaceably right now, if Carl decides he wants to contact me, or this is all going to explode. So the real searchers out there, get ready because this layers video, it is coming. And I'm hoping to get it done tomorrow because with what I know and what I'm going to give for information, my life is literally in danger right now. And I know that because I am the one man that can bring down this whole empire of what's going on right now. Now, whether the backstory on their side, they want to work with me or they don't. This is the ultimatum, and this is the time right now. Carl, you've already emailed me. You emailed me before the court emailed me about that I got booted out of court because you were so happy. You were so happy I got booted out of court because you knew that I could take you down in court. Now it's just fighting on YouTube for another, year, 2 years? It's not going to happen. Now I know how to produce and give out the information of what Forrest Fenn built. And it is coming, folks. The Layers 3 video is coming soon. And it has so much information that is so cool. I'm excited about it. And I hope that you folks are too. So be prepared. You are going to be experiencing Forrest Fenn's creation here in what he built. But understand, if you are missing something, just ask me politely. That's all I ask. I try to be polite to the people who are polite to me. But when somebody starts harassing people who make good comments, that's when I start to lose it. So I apologize for any comments from the real people out there. But I know there are a lot of people, a lot of friends that are trying to shut this down, especially Robert McQuaid. He's going to go down in history as, actually, if it gets to the point, I am taking him to court with the rest of them on harassment, because that's pretty much what it is. And he's harassed everybody else, and I've got copies of all of it. It's just sad. It's sad because whatever happened, they're trying to hide it. And everybody out there knows it. These other vloggers talk about it, but they won't understand, or they can't fathom that the guy came forward who solved it, which is right here. And he's trying to reach out to them, but they just don't want to listen. So the other vloggers, do your thing. I'm going to go down in history as the guy who solved it, the guy who got screwed over, and the guy who reached out to the people who are supposed to be smart, but just can't get it, or don't want to, or just don't like me, whatever, I don't care. I'm a likable guy. Many, many people love me. They think I'm funny, and I get along with pretty much anybody. But There are certain few, if you're messing with what they're trying to make their livelihood, they're just going to kick you to the curb. So kick away. They already have. I've had, look at my comments, how many people have asked about the $50,000. Where's my $50,000, Dave? Nobody has proved me wrong. Nobody. And they can't. They cannot. After this layers video, it's going to be amazing, folks. That's all I'm going to let you know. It's going to be amazing in this layers video because all of it's, actually not even all of it. There's so much, just so you know, these right here are the actual tabs of different colors that lead you to the certain, like whatever's color coded. There's stars and the pink ones here. And I ran out of sticky notes. So all of the things here, the green is the superheroes. The orange is the postmarks. Or is it postmarks or Palisade? I don't remember. I've gone through it all. The yellow is stuff to deal with Aunt Esther. And this is all 3 books. So all 3 books, that's what I'm trying to organize and put together for you folks. But all of it right here. All of these right here are incredible, incredible hints and clues. That's how many I found. So that's 15 years of work, folks. That's Forrest Fenns' 15 years of work. That's what I'm trying to give you. And the people that harass me, I'm just going to blow you off again. I don't even care. The people that want to learn are the ones I'm going to concentrate on. The people who have real comments. And who was it? Fantastic. It was a good comment, but you still don't get it. You're still saying, I don't think it's you. But he said, Kent and Esther are not in the poem. That's correct. They are not. They are hidden in the poem with the My Treasure's Bold. That's where they're hidden in. You have to know what his treasures are. And experiences with Joe, those are his treasures. That's why he brought that story in with Captain America, Submariner, Bucky, and he talks about Hitler and Captain America fighting Hitler. Superman fought Hitler. All of these connections are superheroes or they deal with Clark Kent. Look at the Bishop's Riddle. Look at that. Look at my video about the Bishop's Riddle. It's all about Kent. And somebody said, oh, I can't figure out what the Bishop's Riddle is because Forrest figured it out. It's about a different book. It's not about the actual Bishop's Riddle. It's all double meanings. But you have to know what you're looking for. You're looking for a Kent. You're looking for Esther. You're looking for Red Fox. You're looking for Bubba. You're looking for all of the characters that were in there. Lois Lane. Lois Lane is all the L's in the school. It's beautiful, folks. There's so many clues and hints that Forrest Fenn spent 15 years on. So let's not let it get to waste, right? I'm going right to Josh Gates with my video 3, with the layers 3. Those are the people who are going to appreciate what an actual treasure hunt was, what an actual solve is to find an actual pinpointed cross of Clark Kent, and Esther, Aunt Esther, the homely girl on the cross. How much more can you not understand? If you've ever watched Sanford and Son, Aunt Esther got picked on by Fred Sanford for being ugly, the ugly duckling, the homely girl. He called her ugly in every show. These vloggers, they don't get that? Really? Seriously? They're just blocking. The vloggers are blocking. So I don't care about them anymore. And now, from what I just saw a little bit, supposedly Cynthia Meacham, I'm not saying this is fact, supposedly Cynthia Meacham, a week before the announcement, came forward to ask Chasing Indy if she wanted to claim the treasure chest, that she found it, signed a document. I don't know what to believe from all of the crap that's gone on. They're trying to create so much drama to take away from the actual true solve here, folks. Don't let them do it. Start spreading the news that the actual true solver has come forward. But I understand if you want to wait for the layers video, but you're going to like it. There's so many hints in there. So many cool hints. And I'm going to try to get as much in, but I've only done 3 layers out of the 9 layers, and I'm already over an hour. So it's time consuming, but it's so cool. And I just put music in the background too. I didn't speak a lot. There are a couple things where I say things, but it's just to explain what's going on. So, folks, get ready for the Layers 3 video coming out. I am Dave Woodard, the man from back east who solved Forrest Fenns treasure hunt, and he's going to prove it. And he's going to prove it with this next video. If you don't see it with the other videos I did because it's hard to understand the Forrest speak, then that's okay. I'm not upset with you. But people are upset with me because they don't understand it. So this, organized, if they don't understand it, I apologize. I can't make you understand it. But there's a lot of people now that will see the actual truth. If you like superheroes, if you have any knowledge of war or the Army or the Air Force, there are so many things in here that Forrest Fenn brought in. Or if you like old shows, the hit Parade. I just recorded that from All in the Family. Carol O'Connor singing, and actually Edith. Songs that made the hit parade.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days.
And you knew when you were there.
Dance for girls and men, woman. Mister, we could use a man like Hyper Hoover again.
That's what hit parade is. It's not songs, Barbara. It's not songs. That's not the whole premise of this whole thing. It's the Dancing with the Stars. And you have to figure out the 2 main characters in his story. And those 2 main characters are Clark Kent and Aunt Esther. Guaranteed. You will see, folks. Thank you. I am Dave Woodard, the man from the East. Forrest Fenn acknowledged before everything went screwy. So, watch, get ready, follow, subscribe, share, please, and let this information out there. Because once this goes, it is going fast. So think about that too, Carl. All right, folks, have a great night. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Hi, folks. I wasn't sure I was really going to add this in, but I just want to explain the 9 clues in Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, the poem, how they fit and what each clue does. Yes, the 9 clues are a map, but not the physical map. The physical map is inside of the clues, inside the 9 clues, and I'll show you that. And I'm not going to get way into it, but I just want people to understand how the 9 clues physically and actually work at Palisade SOLVE. So, as I've gone alone in there and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where and hint of riches new and old. That clue number 1 is pinpointing Palisade SOLVE with the word there. There is Palisade SOLVE. Once you understand that, that's Forrest speak. And hint of riches new and old is the first half of the canyon, younger rock, the second half, older rock. That's his riches. But the treasures, that's the comic books and fishing. So, clue number 2, begin it. It is the map. Begin the map where warm waters halt. And that's Agua Fria Peak. Okay? And take it in the canyon down, not far, but too far to walk. That's 23 miles from Agua Fria Peak down to Eagle's Nest. That's the first part of your map. There's 3 places that he calls out in before you find your search area to look for the blaze. The first one is begin it where warm waters halt, Agua Fria Peak, and take it in the canyon down. The canyon is Cimarron Canyon. You're heading in that direction. That's where you're going. Not far, but too far to walk, 23 miles. So that's clue number 2. He's giving you the direction to go into. Clue number 3, put in below the home of Brown. That Eagle's Nest is the home of the Browns. Literally, that's what it was called. So that's your clue number 3. Put in below the home of Brown. Eagle's Nest. Number 4. From there, same place. You start off, he tells you where his secret area is, and then you're going from the same secret area again. So that's your 3rd place. You had Agua Fria Peak, you had Eagle's Nest, and now you're back at Palisade Sill. And that's why he said you can fit it on a map, on a Post-it. It is the map. You can fit the map on a Post-it. Agua Fria Peak, Eagle's Nest to Palisade. That's your search area, folks, right there, Palisade Sill. So once you're from there, it's No Place for the Meek, which is the old man face, which is just on the opposite side of Palisade Sill. So that is still within that clue. That's why it's there. And then you get the semicolon that separates the 2 different areas that he's talking about. So from there, it's No Place for the Meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. Drawing nigh is the cliff on your left, Palisade Sill. Drawing is because it's a defensive enclosure, a fortress, a whatever you want to call it. It's a fort, Fort Sill, Fort Clark. It all connects right to Palisade Sill. Okay, so from there, it's No Place for the Meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. Semicolon. It's to continue from there. So there'll be no paddle up your creek. You do not go down to Maverick Creek. There's just heavy loads and water high. Just heavy loads and water high down where Maverick Creek is. Gravel Pit Lakes is the actual heavy loads. You take heavy loads of trucks, loads out of a gravel pit. That's what the heavy loads are. And the water high is one of the 3 lakes, and one of them is higher than the other lake, the other 2 lakes. Someone that contacts me still does not understand how that fits in. But it's beautiful because he's telling you from Palisade Sill, you don't go down to Maverick Creek. There's just heavy loads and water high, which is gravel pit, and 1 lake higher than the other 2 lakes. There's 3 lakes there. That's why it's water high. So that is your physical map. You know your search area now. Correct? So your search area, you found it. That's why in the next clue, Forrest says, if you've been wise and found the blaze, you should already know your search area from those 5 clues. He gave you the map. He pinpointed where. That is why he says, if you've been wise. Now, if you take a graphical look from Google on Ponderosa Campground, that whole parking lot looks like an owl. So if you've been wise and found the blaze, you know your search area is Palisade Sill before you get down there. But if you've been wise and found the blaze, you have to search Palisade Sill for the blaze. That's what I did. I found it. When you find the blaze, this is where it's critical, folks. This is the boots on the ground part of the map. Okay? It's still part of the map, but not the actual map from Google or wherever. It's a boots on the ground map. You found your blaze. You look quickly down. You're up on a ridge, okay? Now, look quickly down is 4 feet over into the trench. The actual chase that leads up to the blaze. That was not it. That I searched for a year. The look quickly down the canyon, because he says take it in the canyon down. I thought that was a direction. It was not. I used another year on that almost. The look quickly down is a steep hill in the front. And the reason it is because look quickly down, your quest to cease. That word cease is the T.S. Eliot connection. T.S. Eliot says at the end of all of your searching, you will end up back where you started. So that part right there, the cease and the T.S. Eliot, Forrest said, T.S. Eliot said it for him. And the way he wrote it with that word cease in there, you end up back where you started. So understanding that from the fire pit up behind you on the parking lot, That's where you are. You're across from Palisade Hill. You're on the southern part of the highway, up on a ridge, and you can see down the canyon. You can see across the Palisade Hill. So when you look quickly down, your quest to cease ceases. You end up back where you started. Okay, this is very, very simple. And I missed it because of the look quickly downs. So that's my bad. But look quickly down, your quest to cease. But is another continuation of this little boots on the ground. But tarry scant. So when you get back down to where you started, that tarry scant is crossing the one car parking lot. Tarry is tar, and scant is a little bit. It's only this small parking lot. Tarry scant with marvel gaze. Marvel gaze is Palisade Hill, right in front of you as you're walking across the parking lot. Then, just take the chest and go in peace. You have found where Forrest Fenn hid his treasure, which is the Kent and Esther cross, which is Clark Kent, which is Aunt Esther. That is the beauty and the magic of this whole solve and map. That's how it fits in, folks. I'm trying to get this point across without being too dramatic, but it was beautiful. That's the way it worked out, to the Kent and Esther cross. Kent and Esther are not in the poem, except for Treasures Bold, his old TV shows and all of his comic books. So, that's it. Take the chest and go in peace. Your map portion is done. All of the map, the boots on the ground, the physical map in Google. That's why clue number 7. Clue number 6 is the boots on the ground. Clue number 7. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? Question mark. He's asking a question and then he answers it. The answer I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. He was tired after a day of fishing and traveling to get to Cimarron Canyon. But he still has to go 500 feet up to get to that plateau where the actual blaze is, where his hidden area is. Okay? That's what he's saying there. That's an explanation of why he did it. And also an explanation of why he built that little fake ring of rocks and the cross, because he was too old to get back up to that spot. It was too far to walk for him. That's the significance of. Now, I hear stories about people talking about a fake blaze. That is the fake blaze next to the cross that Forrest Fenn built. Somebody somewhere along the line knows the answers of what Forrest Fenn said, and they're feeding you different information of how it fits in. But this, when you realize how it fits in to this story and this place and all of the connections, the hundreds of them that I'm going to show you soon. So the answers I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. So he's not going to go way back up to the top anymore. He built this little fake cross right where an 80-year-old man would find it. Right where he said, bring a flashlight and a sandwich, because you're right next to the picnic area. That's why he said, if you go hunting, leave somebody in the parking lot for safety. They are the ones who are going to find the treasure, not the ones out in the wilderness. Out in the wilderness, they could find the blaze. But if you're in the parking lot, you can actually find the treasure and see that Kent and Esther is canasta, which is the most important clue is number 1. If you can't figure it out, stay home and play canasta. That's these connections that pull together for canasta with the first clue. And the first clue pinpoints Palisade Hill. You drive right up to that cross. That's what's so beautiful about this. And it's like complicated, but it's simple. So that's why I said a lot of people may not understand it or see it, but that's how it works. So clue number 8. So hear me all and listen good. That's like a sermon. He's telling you your effort will be worth the cold. Surviving myself, that little story, surviving myself, that is the explanation on how you leave your home in the wilderness. When he says, I would open up the window, jumping out the window, and go down to the cemetery, which is the cross, 1 block north. And it is directly north, folks. That's where this is critical for that story to line up together to find the actual cross. And that's what validates this in the map. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. He talks about in that story, if it wasn't too cold, I would go in when it was dark with no moon. This is how you're supposed to go in and take the treasure chest. At night, That's why he said bring a flashlight and a sandwich. It's controversial, yes, because you have to go in at night, don't let the rangers see you or whatever, and then dig up the cross where the cross was next to the fake fire pit. That was his blaze. That was his little memorial next to the parking lot, because he was not going to go way back up. So that description to get you to the Kent and Esther cross, might start making more sense. So your effort will be worth the cold. That's going in at night. If you are brave, and he said it took guts to go in there at night in that little story. That's your brave. It took guts to go in there at night when there was no moon. Okay? So if you are brave and in the wood, a palisade is a wooden structure of tree trunks, a wall of trees, a defensive enclosure. That's what palisade is. So if you are brave, right? If you have the guts and you're in palisade, I give you title to the gold. That is the map, folks. That is your poem. That is the map that leads you directly to it. He pinpoints it. He gives you the map on Google. Then he gives you the map on Boots on the Ground. And then he tells you why he did it. And then he tells you how you retrieve the treasure chest. Okay? I hope that starts making sense. But I didn't want to go over the whole poem again. I don't need to go over the specific points like I do in the other videos. But that is to explain how you brings you right to that cross and how you retrieve it. And then if you've been brave and in the wood and you go in at night when it's cold to dig it up, I give you title to the gold. That's how it is found. That is how it is retrieved. Okay, so that is the explanation of the actual physical poem leading you to Kent and Esther and how you retrieve it. So Kent and Esther are not in the poem, but they are validated hundreds of times over in the books. That's who the Kent and Esther are. Because I didn't know who Kent and Esther were, like I told you. I had to look it up in the stories and understand and realize. But by then, the treasure was already taken and moved and somehow claimed by somebody else. So something went wrong with the retrieval of the treasure chest. That is why it never got publicized. They wanted to keep it as minimal as possible for publicity because Jack would have been doing interviews. Yes, I found it. This is how I found it. Jack does not want to do any interviews. He set up a little email account that he would maybe give you answers to. All of this was hidden from the public. So people would not question it. They would just say, well, it's been found. He has the treasure. Yes, they have the treasure. Why? When it was actually the actual map, the actual true solve, the actual poem, the actual clues and hints and facts that back it up in the book is Palisade Sill. And you will see that in the layers video. That is what's coming out, and that is what is going to prove that they have to come out with answers on why this has been retrieved and not by the actual true solver, who is me. Now, as far as the 50,000 from these other vloggers, they will not let go of what they had and understand. It's like having a ladder that's disintegrating, and you have a ladder that's a stiff, good, perfect ladder you could grab onto and hang on and understand and climb that ladder and see everything. Their ladders are crumbling and they're going to fall because they don't want to accept what Forrest Fenn built here and what I'm trying to show folks. So I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to explain what the actual physical poem and how the map and how everything inside of that poem works out. And I did it in almost like a little over 15 minutes. So folks, again, thank you. I hope you have a great day. Dave Woodard, look for the actual Layers 3 video that's going to be coming out, because that is going to have, and pause it. There are so many hints, and I validate it with pieces in the book. That's why I showed you those little tabs. All of the things that pull this together from different layers, from the Kent and Clark, all the different Kent and Clarks, all of the different Aunt Esthers and how they pull together, to that cross, the Esther, to the Kent. And then from those two branching down off of it is all of where the locations. That's what validates in the books. The location of where it was. The location inside the map on how many different places. You have Palisades. You have the postmarks from Devil's Mailbox. All of these are different points coming into one focal point of the Kent and Esther cross. That is the magic of everything. If you cannot fathom that Kent and Esther are Clark Kent and Aunt Esther, it will not come to you to understand and see what Forrest Fenn built in 15 years, folks. That's what the creation is. 15 years of all of these hundreds of hints and superheroes that he incorporated into his stories to let you know that there were superheroes. There's a superhero at the end of the story. The ha is the Kent and Esther, the Canester. That just like Red Fox did. It's beautiful, folks. So I hope that clarifies it a little bit more. But the layers video will show you many hints that validate and facts and evidence of what's coming up next. So get ready, folks. Thank you very much. Have a great day again. Take care. Dave Woodard, the man from back east that Forrest Fenn announced, found and solved the treasure by solving the poem. This is why, folks, and it took me quite a long time to get above the evil that's been trying to shut me down to get this information out. But I think I'm at a level now where people understand this is how it really worked. This is the actual true solve of the $3 million treasure hunt of Forrest Fenn that I've been trying to give out for information. And a lot of you may not see it, but you will see some of the clues that come in and some of the hints. And you'll see that it's really cool. And some of the superheroes that Forrest Fenn incorporated. Beautiful, folks. Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.